Who's going to be our timer, and what's the flag for? Hey, you're running out of time.
I will be the timer. My face will just pop up and be like, "Hey, out of time."
That works for me.
Yeah, start whenever you're ready.
Oh, you want to start now?
Yeah, Katrina, yeah, go for it. I'm excited. You showed the good art. It was looking nice. I'm excited.
Okay, let's go for it. All right.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because mainly like for the space stories, me, I'm going only to focus maybe on one book. The other one, maybe I'll just talk a little bit because of time.
Okay.
Okay. And you're able to see my screen now?
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Perfect. All right. Good morning, my little astronauts, and welcome. I am Katrina Carter-Journay. I'm a scientist, a physicist, a reliability engineer, and an author. And this morning, it's my pleasure on my side. I'm in California, but good evening, good night to you. I'm going to do a little reading from my book, Let's Chase the Moon. So you'll see my characters. You're going to follow Amara, Danon, and their mother Valeria on their family journey, and you'll meet their father and other people in there. And you'll get a chance to learn about family, siblings, ADHD awareness, and using space and the themes of space and the moon and stars and beyond to bring joy into your life and make all those wonderful decisions that I know that you'll do. So I'm going to open up the story for you. And we are going to start. Let me put it in a view for you. So I want you to see everything. It's like we want to see everything in the stars. The book is really created with that star and that's in the moon and the glory, and is written by me. My pen name is K.L. Carter because everybody wants to be creative and different, right? And my illustrator is Lika Illustrations. But the story is dedicated to my children. So we always drive around and we chase the moon, especially the harvest moon, because it's so big. You feel like you can just walk into it, you can drive into it. And that's the beauty of Let's Chase the Moon. So let's get into it. We have Amara here. Amara sat on her soft pink cushions, hands in her lap, squishing her fluffy pink tutu. She had dreamed of dancing like a ballerina in space today, but instead, everything was about Danon. Again, she felt invisible. Amara wiped a stray tear from her cheek as she heard the door creak open. Danon, her 7-year-old brother, burst in, his face lit up, excitement like nothing had happened. Nothing had gone wrong. Mom says, breakfast is ready, he said, ignoring the fact that she had missed her ballet class because of him. Amara clenched her fist. I missed my class, Danon, and now you get to go to your art class after breakfast like nothing happened. Her voice rose and her frustration spilled out. Danon froze for a moment, his smile faltering. He looked down at his shoes. I didn't mean to make you miss it, he mumbled, and then quickly he covered his feelings with a shrug. Anyway, our class is going to be fun. And with that, he ran out of the room. Amara huffed in frustration as she stared at her fluffy pink tutu. She loved it too much to take off, even though she wasn't going to ballet today. With a sigh, she got ready for breakfast and kept the pretty pink fluffy tutu on. She wasn't ready to let go of her ballerina dreams just yet. How could Danon act like he didn't care, she thought, fuming. Didn't he understand how much ballet meant to her? She was still deep in her thoughts when her mom, Valeria, called from the kitchen. Kids, breakfast is ready. With a heavy sigh, Amara slid off her bed and followed the smell of pancakes to the kitchen. Danon was already at the table, finally wearing jeans without paint on them, was digging into his breakfast like nothing was wrong. Valeria, their mom, who always had a way of keeping things calm, glanced between the two of them. After a few minutes of silence, Valeria smiled. You know, she said thoughtfully, stars point. The sky, stars paint the sky. No star shines alone. They take turns brightening the night, just like in a family. We need to share time with each other. Amara rolled her eyes, but stayed quiet anyway. She didn't feel like sharing her space today, especially since she wasn't going to art class. She wasn't the one painting or having fun with friends. She'd just be sitting there, waiting. All she could do was daydream about being a ballerina that could sauté, leaping over the stars. After breakfast, Valeria picked up her phone. How about we call Dad before Dana's art class? He'd love to hear about your morning. Amara shrugged, still not feeling any better. Dana was quiet too, while he got his art supplies ready for class. Amara and Danon both moved closer to Valeria as she dialed. A familiar voice came through the speaker. Hey, kiddos, how are my favorite space explorers? Amara sighed. Hi, Dad. I missed ballet this morning because of Danon. Yeah, and I messed everything up, Danon added quietly. Her dad's voice softened. Hey, now, everybody has tough days, but remember, you're a team. Just like the NASA shuttles needed two solid rocket boosters to provide most of the power to lift off and climb into space. If one booster failed, the shuttle couldn't make it all the way. But when they worked together, they blasted off and reached orbit. When one of you feels low, the other one can help, and together you can do amazing things. Dad continued, Tell you what, how about after art class today, we all go to the park? If Mom says it's okay, maybe kick a soccer ball around or just hang out together. I'll even bring that cool telescope I've been working on. We can chase the moon after the sun goes down. What do you say? Amara's face brightened as she exchanged excited glances with Danon. She giggled and jumped up. Danon nodded with a big grin, his cheeks glowing with happiness. Their mom watched from nearby, smiling as she saw them having fun. She remembered the times that they had sat outside, counting the stars together, and felt happy all over again. That sounds like a plan, Valeria said, smiling at the change in mood. Thanks, Xavier. Anytime, their dad replied warmly. Remember, I'm always here for both of you. And Amara, don't worry, next weekend, I'll come watch you dance. Deal? Amara's heart swelled. Deal, Dad. Later, at art class, Amara was sad, watching Danon laugh with his friends as they dipped their brushes into paint. She sighed. This was his world, not hers. But just as she was about to look away, Danon caught her eye, and she saw his painting. It was a ballerina dancing in space, just like she dreamed of this morning. Maybe Danon did care after all. Amara admired the painting. When class was over, Danon walked over and handed her the painting. I made this for you, he said shyly. I'm sorry you missed ballet. I hope you like it. Amara looked at the picture, then at Dana's hopeful face. Maybe she wasn't invisible after all. Maybe she was just there. She smiled, and as they got ready to go home, she told him how she really felt. Danon listened, and for once, it seemed like he understood. Valeria beamed as they drove home. I'm so proud of you both. Remember, like the stars in the sky, we're all in this together. The rest of the weekend had gone much better. Saturday at the park with Dad was everything. Amara and Danon had hoped for Dad had kept his promise, showing up for soccer ball with the soccer ball, snacks, and his beloved telescope. After a day of playing tag and kicking the ball around, they spent the evening chasing the moon in the backyard, just like Dad had said. Trust was important, and their parents always kept their promises. Amara went to bed that night feeling warm inside, and Danon fell asleep with a smile on his face. Now it was Monday morning, and the cool breeze of fall drifted through the open window. The trees outside their house were starting to turn orange and gold, reminding them that the harvest moon was only days away. Valeria, their mom, was already dressed for work in her red suit and pearls, looking like she could command a spacecraft. Amara admired her mom's style while wearing her own favorite outfit, a cozy salmon pink hoodie and jeans, her hair prettily styled in a bun. Danon, always ready for action, was wearing his comfy blue jeans with a red hoodie and his favorite pair of Converse sneakers. While serving Danon and Amara breakfast, Valeria said, I have a big meeting today about the new space station project. It reminds me of how we're always learning and exploring. Just like you, whether it's in ballet, art, or school, space isn't just about the moon. Stars and planets is about humanity, pushing ourselves to dream, to think bigger, just like you, reaching for the moon, the stars, and beyond. At breakfast, the family gathered around the table. They ate together, laughing over scrambled eggs, fresh fruit, toast, and freshly squeezed orange juice. Valeria smiled at her kids. You know, the harvest moon will be so big this week, she said excitedly. It will look like you can almost reach out and touch it. Even though it's so far away, it feels so close, doesn't it? Amara and Danon both nodded, eyes wide at the thought of the glowing moon. Valeria's eyes twinkled as she added, That's the magic of space, kids. No matter just how far something is, it can still be part of your world, just like dreams. But as they prepared to leave, Danon hesitated. His face fell as he stared at the ADHD medication in front of him. Mom, I don't want to take this today, he mumbled. I just want to be like everybody else. Danon's mom knelt down beside him, her face soft with understanding. Danon, I get it. It's hard sometimes. At times, all kids have trouble paying attention, listening, sitting still, or waiting their turn. But kids with ADHD, which stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, have brains that work a little differently. Sometimes it can feel like your thoughts zoom around like shooting stars in the night sky, bright, fast, and hard to catch. But just like a telescope helps you to focus on distant stars by bringing them closer and making them clear, there are ways to help your brain focus so you can catch your ideas and make them shine. In the same way, there are ways that you can focus and catch your ideas and make them shine. That doesn't change just how amazing you are. It just helps you bring out all of your brilliance into focus. You're still in charge of your big ideas and your big heart, and you can shine just as brightly as any star out there. Amara watched quietly, feeling a familiar ache in her chest. It's just medicine, right? She thought, why does it always have to be about Danon? She sighed, trying to shake off that feeling. But just then, Danon turned to her. Amara, I'm so excited for your dance recital. You're going to be the best. I can't wait to see you twirl like a ballerina in space. Amara beamed at him, her heart lifting a little. Valeria wrapped her arms around both of them, pulling them close. I love you both more than anything in this universe, more than any dream, more than any new technology that might be invented. You are my favorite people. The kids laughed, feeling lighter, and told her she was the best mom in the world. Soon, they were all in the car heading to school. The leaves crunched underfoot as they stepped out, and Valeria smiled at them one last time before the day began. Remember, I'm always with you, no matter how far I seem, she said. Now go and be the stars that I know you are. Amara and Danon waved and dashed off to find their friends on the playground, feeling ready for whatever the day had in store. The school day started out well for Danon, but things got tricky when he sat down at his group table in science class. Everyone was getting ready to work on their project when one kid suddenly asked, "Hey, Danon, are you stupid or something? Why can't you just be still?" Danon froze, feeling embarrassed, but before he could say anything, his friends jumped in. "Hey, that's not cool," one of them said, frowning. "It's none of your business." "Yeah, stop being a jerk," another one added, crossing her arms. The rude kid just shrugged, smirked. "Whatever," he mumbled, looking not sorry at all. But Dana's friends didn't let it ruin the mood. They quickly distracted him by telling jokes and working together on their project. One kid made a silly face, and soon enough, Dana was smiling again, feeling the warmth of their kindness. And that's where we are, guys. If you want to know the rest of the story, tell mom and dad to add "Let's Chase the Moon" to the library and enjoy it. It's been such a pleasure spending time with you, my little astronauts. Back to you, Mission Control.
Now I want to know what happens next. I really want to know what happens next. That was so good. That was so good. I was so invested. I really want to know.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Katrina, so much for that reading. That was amazing. That was really good. Timothy, um, if you can share your screen ready, I'm excited for your presentation. It's in story. And then hopefully we can all have a chat about our respective stories and stuff. But yeah, over to you, Timothy.
Okay. Let me see. Where's my microphone? Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes, you can hear me, right?
Yeah,
So I'm going to the first slide. So yeah, you can see my slides, right?
yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much. My name is Timothy Kudzanai Kwamba. I'm a space systems engineer by profession. And as of to date, I've managed to participate in many satellite projects, but I've built the first satellite for my country, Zimbabwe, that was launched in 2022. So, but I now realize that we don't have literature for space in Africa. There's actually a lacuna of literature in space. So I realized that we need to share the information, especially in terms of issues to do with career guidance. So we are not able to go to each and every corner of the country or to visit many places because of issue of budgets, but to share the information, I realized that we can have some space stories that can explain the technical information, but in the form of storytelling. So just a brief background of myself, I started space education in Zimbabwe 2014. So in the World Space Week, I'm one of the longest serving members of the national coordinators in the World Space Week. So I was given an award also for a decade of service to the World Space Week. So why I do storytelling, as I said, that the realization that we are of lack of resources, that we are not able to visit many places, we have to share this information through storytelling. But the main goal is to share the skills that are required in terms of space careers, and also the careers that are there. Then you'd realize that long back in terms of storytelling, there are many science fiction films that showed some space technologies, which later were realized, but they started in fiction, and later on they become a reality. But in terms of the African context, I'm looking at speculative fiction where we have our own African stories that resonate with our own people so that they can really understand much better. then trying to have those stories that can also create new technologies in the future. So at the same time, of course, explaining or motivating the young students. Then, of course, my first book, which is Stellar Aspirations, this one. Okay, maybe you cannot see it because of the background, but Stellar Aspirations, that's my first book, which I share my experiences at each and every stage of my life, the lessons learned, and also the lessons learned when I was building our country's first satellite. Because in 2014, I had a dream of building Zimbabwe's first satellite, which I wrote on Facebook. Then I realized the dream after 8 years. So this is my website where you can get more information. The book is also available on Amazon. So this is the post that I posted in 2014, which I said I have a dream for Zimbabwe. Then my other colleague asked me, what is the dream? And I said, building a small satellite that will go to space. Then I realized the dream after 8 years. So now going now into the issue of the space stories. So the first one that I wrote was mainly for Zimbabwe about the space story. So it consists of 5 books. So the 5 books, it mainly touches on different aspects, which is satellite development and satellite engineering, and also geospatial intelligence, geoinformation science, GIS, then astronomy, space science, and climate change and space sustainability. So these are the characters that you'll find. But this book is no longer only for Zimbabwe. So I'm also doing the second version for Rwanda, which is this one. So for Rwanda, I changed the names of my characters. Then I also put it in the setting of Rwanda and also try to have the culture of the people of Rwanda. So for the first book, it talks about the characters is more or less like myself. I was trained in Japan. So I come back to Africa and I go to the rural areas. So when I go to the rural areas, there's my cousin who's also staying there with the grandmother. So they will be discussing, and through the discussions, myself will be sharing more insights with my cousin. At the same time, the grandmother is also there to share some technological insights. So the approach is that I'm trying to bridge the gap between the tradition and the technology, because you would find that there are some other things that the grandmothers used to do long back, but also we've got our own connotations in terms of the scientific or the technology. So I'll be bridging those kind of things. So the first book talks about it's like building up for the characters. Then these characters, they are developing the community. So I find that I also got a character of a chief who is also there to show that the development of the community is also there if the leadership of the community provides the platform and also listens to what the young people and the other community members say. So the support of the chief is very important. So I also bring up the support of the chief. So they start to develop the community using space technology. And also the community is also participating in those projects. Then in book 3, I look at the issues to do with climate change, space and climate change, adaptation to space and climate change, what needs to be done, and also the community is also participating in those projects. Then you find in terms of the innovations for the future, I started to look at the issues to do with space traffic management. I also look at space tourism. In those, we also look at space mining. So, like for example, in book 4, you find that my characters, they'll be driving back from the raw areas coming into the city. So as they are driving into the city, they got into congestion, of which now when they are in congestion, they also start to discuss that, you know, that since the first satellite was launched, the Sputnik, there have been so many satellites that have been launched. Now there's now congestion in space, and they try to bring out space traffic management. And in that aspect, the other young cousin will also start to ask about the skills that are required. So that's the kind of approach that I was taking there. So this is the other one on the left side is the one that I'm working on. I'm almost done the Rwandan version. And also there are going to be other versions, like you see the other one is for Malawi. This is just showing the cover. So this book, of course, it is for children under the age of 13. I actually wrote it in very relatable language. Like I said, they're filling the African space literature just to create curiosity in the space careers, and also it is to do with STEM. So each and every story builds up from the last one. So the stories are continuous. From book one, find that the story is continuous, going to book two, going to book three. It's a continuous story up to book five. So this is an example of the setting for the Rwanda, because this is done in the setting is in the rural areas of the story. Why I put it in the rural areas, because I'm also trying to show that space is not far away from the rural areas. Space can also develop in rural areas. So this is making sure that space is for all, trying to also to bridge between the rural and the urban. So that's why the story, it happens in the rural area. So this is like the settings of the houses that they have in Rwanda. So you find for the Zimbabwean version, the houses are different. So these are some of the things that are also changed. So the one in an astronaut suit is the one that comes from Japan. Then it's like he's just arriving, and the grandmother is very excited. And the other one who's in a yellow T-shirt, which is the young cousin, is very sad because he had lost cattle. And so the grandmother is very furious that he had lost cattle when the other one has just arrived. And also they managed to track the cattle using drones, and they managed to bring them back home. So I think that was like some of the things that I wrote in chapter one. Then you find that now, looking on the other picture, they are discussing about, he is now telling the chief, it's now, about since the chief is now saying, now you've built the first satellite at your back, so tell us what you can do to the community. So it's now explaining about the issue of deforestation to the chief. We can do this with satellites, you know. So you see the grandmother is there, they've gone to the chief because they've taken him to the chief, because the chief is so proud of the guy that is managed to do something big for the country. So the one in green and white is the chief. That's what they wear in Rwanda, like the type of dressing. So if I look for the Zimbabwean edition, it's different because the chiefs, they wear something different. So I changed the character of the chief, but mainly for Tunga and Tafaza, the one in white, you find I don't really change, and the grandmother just put so that the illustrations will not be a problem. So
Timothy, it's been 15 minutes. It's been 15 minutes. But are you reading, or is there a story for this setup? Do you have a story for us?
Yes. I think I'm almost about to finish.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the other one, like I said, they are developing the community. So also touch on smart rural to show that the rural area can be developed. So in terms of the other editions, you find the one on the left, he's playing an instrument in the International Space Station, because you find Chris Hadfield played the guitar in the International Space Station Expedition 35. So also check the same concept. They're playing this is a traditional instrument in Rwanda called inanga, which they play. So it's also playing in space. The story is based there. Then the other one on the right side is the one for the Zimbabwean version, which they're playing in bira, which is a traditional instrument. So try to bring the traditional instrument. So this one also bring the aspects of the local agency, the works that they are doing, the kind of infrastructure that they are doing, because the students also visit the ground station, but not so many students who have an opportunity to visit the ground station. So we also have some stories which explain what happens at the ground station. So this is what I was talking about, space traffic management. And also, I also talk about astronomy. You find this Kigali Innovation City. And I also share about, I talked about space tourism, where I look at the local tourism. And also I look at the space tourism and they share the kind of skills and the careers that are required. And yeah, I think for now, I'll end here. And but the last one, of course, this one is the traditional way of baking bread, and the other one it is a thermal vacuum chamber. So I try to. The grandmother is baking the bread, so I try to relate the technology that is there within the traditional baking. They call it the chandle, and also the thermal vacuum chamber, because it retains heat. So they'll be talking about those kind of things in storytelling, and we bring out the skills that are required when you want to become a thermal engineer and some other things. Yeah, so for now, I'll end here. Then the other things I think we'll talk in the what to call it in the discussions. Yeah, but that's the story.
Timothy, thank you so much. That's really good. I have a lot of questions about that actually. That's really cool how many different like aspects of not just simply astronomy but culture from Africa that you mix and merge. I have a bunch of questions. Katrina, are you still here?
Absolutely, I'm here.
Nice. Okay, so I guess this is the discussion part. We do have 10 minutes, but I guess we can run over time. But I don't want to keep you guys too long. And I just want to ask you guys a few just a few questions about your stories because they're so good. I mean, of course we have one with the a setup and method to their stories, and of course we have one where you've already had your stories and I believe it's published and you're distributing it as we speak. Katrina, you said that your book was inspired
Mhm.
by your family essentially. I wanna know
Absolutely.
more about that.
So I have a son, Robert. Robert is 14 now, and my daughter Lana is 17. But when he was a kindergartner, he was running all over the place, bouncing off the walls, and he was diagnosed with ADHD. And while I was trying to really work through that, my little girl was really feeling kind of invisible and overlooked by the amount of attention because I was still learning, what do you do? Do you do medicine? Is it diet? Is it exercise? Is it more discipline? And I really wanted to, at this point, kind of go back and dedicate that book to them and really talk about those dreams. Now, the ballerina dreams are mine. When I was a little girl, I wanted to do ballet, but kind of just merging all of that love and, of course, my career in space and just make that whole kind of family vibe. And it's been a whole lot of fun. I never thought that I would write a children's book, but one day I was just inspired. So it's been a year in the making and it's finally out there. You can get it online everywhere. It's out for global distribution, libraries, come and get it and invite me to come read it.
Yes, yes. It's no, and you did it, and it did what it had to do because I was there like this. I was really locked in. I was like, wow, this is a story, guys. I need to know what happens next. Like, do they have? I hope they navigate school, all right? Like, please.
Oh,
But
so much more.
so what made you want to use the moon as the focus? Did you actually went to chase the moon during harvest? Like you
Oh,
genuinely.
absolutely. Yeah, like the harvest time comes, and then the moon is just so massive, right? And you look at it, and it's like, it's way out there, but it looks like it's right in your face. So the kids and I will get in the car, and we will drive and try to get to any moon. It could be harvest moon, blue moon, the strawberry moon. We just love to chase the moon up the highways and just drive. And I've always been one to lay in the backyard and look at the stars and just kind of merge all of that love. And then Let's Chase the Moon became that because that was our favorite thing to do.
That's incredible. That's incredible. Honestly, I wish my family was that cool. No, my family's alright. Yeah, the moon is something that even for any astronomer that I've ever met, even when it comes to some of my colleagues in Greenwich or just volunteers in the society there in the society is called Flamstead, regardless of if they have the biggest telescope and they're looking at the craziest thing millions of light years away, they will always find time to observe the moon. There's something special about the moon. And yeah, harvest moon, just seeing that phenomenon of the moon just being huge, even in a lunar eclipse when it just goes red And everyone's like, wow, that's really cool. And this, oh, it's this huge, like the moon is such a special thing that we have, and it makes reasons to chase. And to do that as a family is amazing. That's so cool. And the children's book, making the children's book, so good,
Thank
so
you.
cool. Timothy, I want to ask you about why you think it's important to merge African culture, but as well as us being seen in astronomy, in the space of astronomy, no pun intended.
Okay, so I think I can just touch on some of one of my chapters, I think chapter 8. So you find that, like I talked about the grandmother, right? So they go and they view the sky using telescopes. So they come back. So now in the morning, they said the grandmother, so you came back in the morning, no, you came back in the evening, and now what was happening? So now they start to share. So they start to share what they were seeing using the telescopes. Then the grandmother also shares the traditional aspect. Like, for example, he's saying that we're using the moon when for growing the crops at this time, and we're doing this kind of thing. So that's why the grandmother is sharing some traditional insights. And the one who's learning it from outside is also sharing some technological insights. So that is how my stories are intertwined. So I'm trying to bridge between the technology and the tradition. So,
Okay. Um, what? Okay, I have one that's quite very specific. But for you, what is your favorite, or what's your most favorite topic in astronomy that you want to communicate in your book?
well, you find the most important thing is what is the importance of astronomy in terms of in terms of the science. If somebody wants to do astronomy, what exactly does he needs to do? What do you really needs to focus, like the important skills in astronomy and also the careers that are there in astronomy. So it's almost like at the end of each and every chapter, I put the important skills for a certain aspect that I'll be discussing and also what is needed. And also, the last thing, I put like a fun fact. Let's say there's a fun fact to just say, let's say, like for the astronomy, I put like the biggest telescope, the square kilometer array in South Africa, blah, 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 and this. So they get to know about the square kilometer arrays there. So I've also put the fun facts, I also put the engineering terms that are in the text, because you find there are some other terms that you cannot really explain within the text. But
Mm.
at the end, I put the engineering terms, then I just explain everything there.
That's so cool. It's so cool because it's inspiring. It's something that I know if I read a book like yours, I'd be like, wow, I didn't know all this stuff. That is like n- right next to me. Like it's my neighbor. Well, I'm from Ghana, but regardless, like it's all about Africa. Especially, or the one thing that I do connect with you on is the opportunity, the inspiration of opportunity when it comes to this is something that you can do, this is something that you can learn and you can make a career out of. Like it doesn't matter where you're from, whatever stigma or stereotypes that are placed upon you, wherever. If this is something that you want to do, you can definitely get into it. And it also doesn't take you away from the things that you already know, the culture, who you are as a person, and all the cool things that where you're from, whether it be South Africa, whether it be Nigeria, Central Africa, Northern Africa, anywhere, there's always something there or in some sort of fashion that relates to astronomy. And you can learn from it. And that's, yeah, I really like it. Keep going. Let me know. Let me know when it comes out, the book. I want to know. I'm going to get all the
Uh,
books. Thanks, guys. I'm just going to spend a whole lot of money. Thank you.
uh,
um, so Lunarya is a project where we not just simply imagine ourselves. We know so that in the future, of course, we see ourselves in the expanse of the universe, the cosmos, and our moon is a very important hub space for where we keep our stories. Katrina, I want to hear well your perspective about why it's important to have stories like yours in the far, far future and what will tell us about well the us of today.
So I think it's important because children need to see themselves in spaces that ordinarily are not created for them, especially if they're children of color. They tend to think, I need to be smart to be a scientist. I have to be a mathematician or a physicist. So my background is in physics, but you could be a fashion designer in space. Somebody's got to make those suits. You could be a chef in space. Somebody's got to improve that food. You could be somebody in construction. Somebody's got to create the infrastructure. You could be a welder. Who's putting that vehicle and that habitat together? So for me, I want them to see that they have a place in this world. And the moon is an anchor point for me. I mean, throughout all of its phases, I just love to watch it. It's beautiful. It casts its own light. You know, we think about basking in the sunlight, but you can also bask in the moonlight. And it is equally as gorgeous and prolific and important. You think about the moon and the tides and the water and the ocean. So I want to share my love of space. I want to inspire them through storytelling. And I want them to see more storytellers of color. And I want them to see themselves front and center in these books. So I do have characters of all color around them, but I do want them to be central because I don't want them in the background anymore. I don't want them an extra in a film. I want you to be the protagonist, the main character, the highlight, because they deserve a spotlight. And that's just all that I want to really push out there constantly, that you are as bright as any star out there. You deserve to be the highlight.
Definitely. 100%. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, literally. And I feel like your book does that. Honestly, I felt like your book does place us in a position where reading it feels like it wouldn't feel out of place to see this like in my home and my nieces and nephews have this around, and it should, as it should. And I can't wait for there to be more stories, and there will be more stories here in the far, far future, on the moon, on a Mars, or wherever. So thank you for making such a book, and it was amazing. Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Timothy, I want to ask you about so yes, the moon, far, far in the future, it's an anchor point. It's a hub. It could be a potential hub for a lot of activities in Africa. What do you want to see, or what work do you want to see your story or your efforts for your story do in the far, far future for us in Africa, wherever around the world?
Yeah, these books, I'm telling you, they're going to make an impact in Africa because you find that one of the most important things that I'm doing is to customize to the culture of the country and the setting. Besides the customization of the culture, these books are going to be in vernacular language. So the book, like the one in Rwanda I'm finishing off, is going to be in Kinyarwanda. So now when they read it in their own language, they see the houses that they know, the environment that they know, the car is driving in Kigali, they know the place. They don't feel that space is far away from them. Space is for all it is happening in the raw areas, and they can relate much better. Now, when I move to do the Zimbabwean edition, I customize. What's the issue of customization? Because I want to make sure that to tell them the space it is for them. It is not far away from them.
Yeah.
When we put it in the vernacular, they can relate because, our own stories, they resonate to our own people much better. So that's why I am customizing in terms of the culture and the tradition. And also the good thing is the issue that I put the great mother bridging the technology and the tradition. I'm trying to bring the people together to say that the youngsters, they don't need to feel like the old ones are left out. They need to see that these things are intertwined. There is something that we can learn from our great mothers, and we can develop from there and develop new technologies. So I find this book is going to cover a lot of areas in Africa. The good thing is that I have a wide range of experience. That's why I find that I write GIS so they understand that how maps are done. I understand how a satellite is developed. I've developed one, so I put those things, I put the skills. I'm also promoting different countries. Like, for example, you saw the one for space tourism, which is also talking about tourism in Rwanda, visit Rwanda. Then we also talk about space tourism, so also bring the two. So it is also for different countries, it is also promoting their culture, promoting their tourism, and it is their book. Like they feel like Rwanda, for the people of Rwanda, they feel like this is our book. If I only like bring a Zimbabwean book talking about space, they'll think that maybe space is for Zimbabwe. So I'm want to bridge that notion to say, no, space is actually for you. But you can only do it when we put the characters of the names. You find that I don't just put the names of the characters. I also research, like I can give you an example. In our language, it's called Mbuya Chieza. It's like grandmother. Chieza means light, which means the grandmother is giving light to the other youngsters. So my names are very particular in terms of in terms of what is happening in the book. I can give you the other one. It's called Tungambrai, which is to lead. This is the young cousin. So I'm saying the young cousin is going to lead in the future. Then Tafadzwa, which means something that makes you happy. The one who has come out of the country and is now teaching the community, is making the community happy. So I find in terms of the names, I try to make sure that they actually suit into the different culture of a country. So my main task now is to, for each and every country, is now to study the setting of the culture and understand so that I can actually put it right and it sink into the culture. So yeah, that's what I'm doing.
That's amazing. That's perfect. It's I genuinely feel like, again, with your books, it shouldn't feel out of place to see it in my home. It's something that's so important, and it's something that should be shared across Rwanda, you said Zimbabwe, and just the whole
Across
continent as well.
Africa, across Africa,
Across
both
Africa, the whole,
across,
everywhere, the
yeah,
world.
yeah,
um,
of course, there'll be global edition. I'll make a global edition
you must.
that is like for the international audience. But the other ones, you saw that traditional instrument that they play. You saw Kenneth Kudas play the guitar in space, and you know that. And now we want to show them that they see the
Mm,
traditional instrument being played in the International Space Station, and the guy is very happy and is doing so that they can relate that these traditional instruments being played in space. You know, they are very happy, and it suits
it's
their
normal,
culture,
yeah,
their tradition. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, I think I think we done well. I think we done all right for this story hour. Thank you so much for your time, for reading your stories, for even explaining that your methodology for your stories. These are such important things. I feel like that's the point of this, not just only setting up a base or a hypothetical for the future, but for things that we're doing now for people in Africa, for people in America, of course, for African Americans, for everyone that's that connects to this and connects to astronomy as well through this. It gives them not just simply a voice or like being seen, not just those, but the opportunity to get into things like this, especially when they feel like they can't. That's what makes them seen, and which puts them in the center, which both of your works do. So I guess, yeah, thank you for doing such work, and continue, please.
Um,
I think we're gonna end it. I think we can end it here. I am not the host, so I can't end it. um, so um, is Dr. Nelson? I mean, to be fair, um, we can just leave. To be fair, but yeah, I hope this story hour does reach wherever it reaches, and whoever watches, and whenever they watch it, they learn and hope that astronomy is not too far. The moon is not too far as well. It's the closest thing. Other than that, what's that? The nearest star to us is like 4.6 light years.